Hi, and welcome to the show where we share the stories of the many who intersect with our healthcare system but are rarely heard from. My name is Kevin Pho, founder and editor of KevinMD. Today on the show, we have Pranay Parikh. He is a hospitalist and he wrote a pair of KevinMD articles. Doctors make bad entrepreneurs and doctors make great entrepreneurs. Pranay, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kevin. Happy to be here.
So we'll get into both of those articles in a little bit. But first off, can you share your story and your journey to where you are today?
I started undergrad. I knew I wanted to go into medicine, but kind of did a lot of other stuff. I worked at Pfizer. I worked at Dow Chemicals, and kind of have always been all over the place. Got into med school and didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, so kind of dabbled in a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Got into intern year in Tennessee, realized I didn't like it there and missed California after a couple months. So transferred to University of Southern California to finish residency. Even then, I kind of dabbled in a lot of stuff, and I wanted to go into Palm Crit at first, but my program director said, "You're just doing too much. You're doing too many things that are not Palm Crit." And when someone's looking at someone who's getting into fellowship, they want a single focus, and I'm just not a single focus person. So I didn't get Palm Crit fellowship after interviewing, which luckily turned out to be a great thing because then I met Peter Kim, whom you know from Passive Income MD, and we've done a ton of really interesting stuff and really stuff all over the place, helping physicians find financial security and finding entrepreneurship.
Now, tell me about some of those interests that you had during medical school and residency. What were some of those specific interests that kept on and stayed with you as you progressed during your physician journey?
Yeah, so I was really interested in art so kind of contemporary art. So what I did a couple times in med school was I would do a charity art show where half of all the proceeds would go to the Doctors Without Borders. It's something that I feel strongly about their mission. And it would take a lot of time. Artists are hard to get a hold of, but it's fun. And similarly, kind of in residency, I would say I would see something that would need to be fixed. And as you know, in the hospital, there's a million things that need to be fixed. And I would just want to fix it, as opposed to everyone else just kind of walks by. And that's kind of still what I do and kind of what I do as a hospitalist right now.
So tell me about that connection between medicine and entrepreneurship. And on this podcast, and of course in your circles with Peter Kim and Passive Income MD, there's a lot of interest in for physicians who do want to become entrepreneurs or of an entrepreneurial bent. So tell me a little bit about that intersection and why that is.
Yeah, I think us as doctors, we're really ready-made to be entrepreneurs, and we see an issue and we kind of want to resolve human suffering. It could be suffering as, hey, you got to click too many times on something else, or it could be, one of our students created a bra for people who have had to go through radiation therapy because bras just don't fit well, right? So it's having that mindset, and I think just out of med school residency, it just works well for physicians to do it. But we have some things that are stopping us, limiting beliefs, and that's why I kind of did that duality of articles that, yes, we make great entrepreneurs, but there's also parts of medicine and the process of getting through medicine that make us bad entrepreneurs.
So let's get into both those KevinMD articles, why doctors make bad entrepreneurs and why doctors make great entrepreneurs. So let's start with the bad first. What are some of these factors that hold doctors back from being entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so two really big things I think is perfectionism, right? You go through, if you remember undergrad, you would look at a class and think, can I get an A in this? Can I get a perfect in this class? And if not, you drop it, right? Or if you get one B or one C before the drop period and you drop it, right? And also in medicine, sometimes when you're doing surgery, right, you need to have 99%, 100% success rate because you have someone's life in your hand. While in starting a blog, a podcast like yours, a platform such as yours, there's a million things that could have gone wrong, but you were able to navigate it. But some things did go wrong, and it wasn't the end of the world, right? But it might have felt that way. And that's the problem with perfectionism. And the the other thing is uh, having not a great relationship with money, right?
Hmm.
So it's hard for us to ask for money for our time, asking for raises, asking for money for my patients. It's just that relationship has it's been frayed, and so it's something that we need to get over, and something that we know. I want it whenever I'm doing something, whenever I'm starting a business, I want people to be happy, ecstatic to give my money. It's just like, when I go to my favorite restaurant, I'm happy to pay for that food because it is so delicious, and if something is sold out, I'm actually bummed because
Hmm.
I want to give them their money so they can give me the product, so yeah, it's just like going to like Hamilton, right? I'm
Yeah.
happily pay for that.
So I think what you said about perfectionism is so right. I think it was Nee Darko who said that, especially when starting a podcast, if your
Hmm.
podcast started off perfectly, then you probably started too late,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah, yeah.
what are some ways that physicians can overcome that tendency towards perfectionism if they want to start a business?
Yeah. So there's something in the business world called minimal viable product. So they say that, similar to what Nidarko said, if you ship when there's not enough, there's no bugs, you're shipping too late, right? So when something is 70 to 80% right, you want to be able to ship it. Let me give you a quick example. So we do a course on commercial real estate, right?
Hmm.
And the typical way people create courses is they come up with a great idea, they film it, they do all this stuff, and then they sell it, right? And sometimes there's crickets, right? And so
Hmm.
you've just spent 50 hours of your time or more creating this amazing course and just no one is there.
Hmm.
For us, we went the other way around. Hey everyone, we're trying to create this course. What do you think about it? Okay, good. We're trying to if you guys want to get in a beta test, we need 10 people. You're going to pay for half and you'll get unlimited lifetime updates. And
Hmm.
we did that. So we sold our course before we had a finished product. And then it was crazy. When a week came, it comes out in weekly installments. As soon as the
Hmm.
week is done, start filming the next week.
Hmm.
We had the outline done, but so it was different. And it because of that pace that you have to get it done in a week, you don't have time to be perfect,
Yeah.
and there was a video where I pronounced one word incorrectly the whole time. It was so embarrassing, but you just go back and you refilm it.
Hmm.
Not a big deal.
Now, was it difficult for you to kind of get over that physician tendency towards perfectionism?
Yes. Yeah. And oh man, I'm sure you've listened to some of your podcasts or videos. Oh, it's so painful
Hmm.
listening to yourself, and I've had to do that. I had to do my own edits in the starting, and creating kind of really a lean model.
Hmm.
And if that works, it works. And so you have to kind of get over yourself, right? It's kind of in the end, it's an ego thing, right? Where
Yeah.
we're this doctor person that is pretty successful in life, but when you start something new, you're really on the bottom of the totem pole again,
Hmm.
almost like a not even a med student, like even under that, like a pre-med student.
And one of the other things that you mentioned was a physician's challenges with money. So tell me a little about that. Why are physicians so uncomfortable with money?
Yeah, so I think it's a lot to have to do with medical school. We don't talk about money at all, right? We don't talk about salaries. We come up with all this debt
Hmm.
that we don't really talk about, and fortunately people like the white coat investor, passive income MD, physician on fire, they kind of have brought this to the forefront so that we're more comfortable talking about this, but they only are a small percentage of doctors, right? Like even I remember when I was in a sub internship
Hmm.
and I asked about money, and they gave me this weird look. And then the director actually pulled me aside and said, "Oh yeah, you shouldn't ask about money. You're gonna look too greedy."
Hmm.
And it wasn't even like, oh, how much. It was like some difference about something. I don't remember the
Sure.
exact question, but it just tells you how much shame there is in
Hmm.
talking about it. And that carries on. It's not that you graduate, become an attending, all of a sudden you have this perfect relationship with money. No, that shame carries on.
You mentioned white coat investor, physician on fire, passive income MD, and of course, in
Mhm.
our world, we're very comfortable with that intersection
Yeah.
between medicine, money. But do you think over the
Mhm.
last 5 years, do you think that needle has moved like outside our world?
Yeah, I like to hope so. We're in the Leverage and Growth Summit that you were part of, our first one. We had about 12,000 doctors sign up for that. And then our real estate conference, it was virtual because of COVID. We had about 8,000 people. I know that's still a percentage, but I'm hoping that because these people are exposed to it, that they go and kind of tell everyone else that's in their organization. And, our goal, and I know your goal with this podcast, is just to help educate people and really elevate the world of physicians.
Now, on the flip side, you wrote another article, Why Doctors Make Great Entrepreneurs. So, why are doctors great at starting businesses?
Yeah, having to get through medicine and medical school residency, you're used to being able to work many hours, and you kind of have an eye for being able to fix things.
Mm-hmm.
And so really a lot of it is just persistence and the ability to work, and I wish I could say entrepreneurship is easy, but it isn't. I work 40-hour weeks, 50-hour weeks, and then I come home and work on my business. But it's fun. It's ability to use kind of a different side of my brain, and I really think it's kind of it's like a catalyst against burnout, because you're one kind of using something that's different,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of similar skills. So like I personally have an interest in education. So like I told you, I created an online course, but we
Mm-hmm.
also help educate other physicians. And it's just fun. It's fun helping people in a different way. And eventually we made some money. In the starting it was zero, but that's fine. We made a difference, and that's kind of it. It's like making an impact larger than yourself. And when someone gives you $1 of their hard-earned money, it's very satisfying because you provided value to them.
Well said. And we're talking to Pranay Parikh. He is a hospitalist, and he wrote a pair of KevinMD articles. Doctors make bad entrepreneurs, and doctors make great entrepreneurs. Pranay, so if a physician is interested in starting a business, or if they have an idea and they want to take the next steps, what are your recommendations in terms of where to get started?
Yeah. So we have this summit. It will be in March. It'll be our second time doing it. It's called Leverage and Growth Summit. You'll hear from 30 to 50 doctors just doing interesting stuff. The amazing Kevin Pho was on our last one and talking about the amazing platform he created to help elevate physician writers. But we have other people, someone orthopedic doctor created her own shoe. We have people that done ketamine clinic, and it's inspiration. And it's nice to see that, first that we're able to do this. I know when I first started, it was, oh, I'm just a doctor, I don't know what else I can do, but that qualification is humongous, and it puts you above and beyond most people, right? Education wise. And so watch that summit. It's free. And then after that, we have something called the Leverage and Growth Accelerator. It's an accelerator of only physicians where we teach other physicians the basics of business, and we bring in guest speakers, and there's courses in it, and there's a community, and the community is the most important, of
Mm-hmm.
other doctors doing interesting things and starting businesses. And it's amazing. We have a bunch of people in it right now, and everyone said it's been life-changing. So we're excited to open that up after the summit.
Now, there's a perception among physicians outside our world that doctors
Mm-hmm,
who have side gigs, doctors who
mm-hmm,
started businesses, they're not real doctors because they have interests outside of taking care of
mm-hmm,
patients.
mm-hmm.
What do you say to that?
Yeah, I can tell you that having started my business, that I have become a much better doctor, right? Because there are skills, especially the soft skills outside of medicine, that you need, right? So being able to communicate with people with different beliefs, being able to have a better bedside manner, being able to educate people in ways that they're able to connect with, right? We create videos, we create PowerPoints, and really interesting, interactive ways for us to communicate with our patients and to improve patient care. And I wouldn't know how to get those skills if I didn't do anything outside of medicine. So I think, yeah, medicine is great, but I think the innovation, oftentimes, kind of like Uber, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uber came from outside of the taxi industry. A lot of times the innovation comes from outside of medicine. And I just think the world would be a better place with more physician-led businesses.
And my final question, what's your take-home message that you want to leave with the Kevin MD audience?
Yeah. Uh, I would say, first start off with believing in yourself and start wherever you can. So a lot of people think of entrepreneurs and starting your own business, but that might be step number 3 or 4. You can be an intrapreneur where you're starting in wherever you are, and maybe you just see a quality project and you kind of take that and talk to your bosses and try to do something with that. But in the end, you just got to get started. That's the take-home message.
And how can people find you?
Yeah. So my website, pranayparikh.com. You can find me on Facebook. I'm pretty accessible.
Pranay, thank you so much for sharing your time and insight. And thanks again
Yeah.
for being on the show.
Thanks, Kevin. Talk to you soon.